Hello everybody and welcome to my 8th Q&A episode, and I've had a lot of comments off of you guys in the last couple of weeks, and I struggled to get round to answering them all, but hopefully now I've got a bit of time and I can go through and answer most of them. Any ones that are quite hard to answer in video I'm answering in the comments themselves, so if I haven't responded to your question, then just poke me again, because it doesn't mean I've ignored it, it just means that I haven't found it somewhere. But yeah, so thank you for all your questions. If you have your own questions, drop them in the comments below. It doesn't necessarily have to be about programming or Excel or whatever, it can be about anything you want. And yeah, but today I'm going to go just for the one question, and the reason for this is because I want to talk through doing some code as to how you'd which you need in order to do the question. So it's on a video where basically you select an animal and it hides that animal. And in the tutorial that I did, it's just to teach a select statement, and it hides the animal based on which range it's in. Now, what Andre Callo has asked is what happens if the columns are inconsistent. So rather than being all next to each other, say that they can be in any order whatsoever. And in this case, you don't want to be just declaring which ranges are done kind of using select or if statements. You want to be a little bbit smarter, and you want to loop through. So I'm just going to write the code for this. I'm going to talk it through as I'm writing it. I'm thinking of doing it like Let's Code series anyway, so hopefully this will be kind of similar to the kind of thing we'll do in that, where people will ask for specific things and I'll talk through how to code them. Anyway, let's get started. So let's drop into our code. So we want to run our code whenever someone selects a new animal up here. So we're going to go into worksheet, and we don't want selection change. We want to go into our change event, and this will just mean that whenever we change anything in the spreadsheet, it's going to run this code. So when we select a new drop down, it's going to run this code. So let's specify it, because we only want it to do it when it actually does this drop down, that it runs this code. So if target dot column, emergency pause, sorry. If target dot column equals 3 and target dot row equals 2, then and then end if down here. So all this code is only going to run if we're changing this one cell here. And this is normally what you do in a worksheet change. You'd make it so it only does it on certain cells. And then what we want it to do then is just cycle through these ones here. So we want to set up a counter that will count through the columns. So dim column count as integer, and then I'm going to do a with statement. So with this workbook dot sheets animals end with, and so this just lets me work with the worksheet without having to keep typing it in over and over again. So let's do a loop that will loop through all of these columns until it gets to one that's blank. So do until dot cells, and we want the row number, which is always going to be 4, and then we want the column counter to go through the columns, and we want to go until dot value equals nothing, and then we want to loop, and then at the end of our loop we just want to put column count equals column count plus 1. Now, so we want to then take our dot cells dot column count value and test it whether or not it's equal to our cell over here in C2. So if dot cells 4, column count dot value equals dot cells comma 3 comma no 2 comma 3 dot value, then else end if. So if we're the same, we want the property of the column to be visible. We go into dot cells, and then let's just find out, so dot column dot visible equals, so if they're the same, we want it to be true, and if they're not the same, we want it to be false. And I'm actually not entirely sure about whether this is the right code. I think you can use the columns to go to the column of the cell. It might just be column. So let's try this out anyway, and if it's wrong, then I'll fix it in a second. Some of you are probably screaming at me right now. But yeah, so let's just test this out. So let's change our thing to penguin, and it doesn't like this. So do until dot cells. And it's because I hadn't set column count up yet. So let's go in here and go column count equals, and we'll start on column 4. So let's just jump up 1 and press play. And yeah, it doesn't like this. So columns, let's try that instead. Right, okay, so you actually reference it, and I've got it probably wrong, so sorry about that, but it's not visible. That's for worksheets. When you're looking at columns, it's hidden, and then to reference the columns, we're just doing columns, and then we're using the column count in there, and that references the entire column there. I thought you could do cells.columns, but it doesn't really work properly with it. So yeah, so this is what you need. So columns bracket column count dot hidden equals false for you need it the opposite way around to where I had it a minute ago with the true and false, because if hidden equals true, then visible doesn't equal true, so it's the opposite way around. Anyway, so now when we select up here and we select our penguin and our giraffe and our rabbit, you'll see that it's hiding all the things it needs to, and it's just selecting the ones we want. So the only thing that it doesn't do is it's quite hard to actually get back to all of it. So we probably want an all option in here, so which just puts it back and unhides everything like that. So let's put our all in here, and let's just go into our name manager and update this so that it includes the number 1. And press OK and close. And now we've got an all option. So at the moment that's going to hide all of them. So what we actually want to do is go into our code, and we just want to put another if statement in here. And we want to go, and I don't know why I haven't indented that. But yeah, so let's put our if statement in here. So if target dot value equals all, then end if. And it's probably actually going to be better to put it in here just because it's going to be a little bit easier to write. So we want to say if dot cells dot blah 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 blah, and we put an or target dot value equals all. Then what that's going to do is if we select all from here, well, if we select giraffe, we'll do it like this, and if we select all, it's just going to add them all back in again. So that's probably the easiest and quickest way to write it in there, rather than adding in extra if statements all over the place. And yeah, that's it. So Hopefully that answers your question. It just involves doing a bit of looping through the columns and then just testing whether or not they're hidden or not. Testing whether or not they need to be hidden or not, and then hiding them accordingly. So any questions, again, drop them in the comments below, and hopefully I will catch you soon.